My God, I've said sexual rip. Oh man, oh God. Hey everybody, it's Chris. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the 1974 Italian film, The Antichrist, or Redemptor. So this is basically a ripoff of The Exorcist. At least one half of it is. So it's basically half giallo film, half a ripoff of The Exorcist, but not done that well. So I wish they had stuck with the original idea for this movie, because I feel like what happened is The Exorcist came out in 1973. They saw that, they're like, hey, we can take this initial movie that we've gotten and we can just turn the second half into a completely different movie than what we've set up the whole time. So it's very weird because the first half of the movie is very different than the second half. But before we get into all that, consider subscribing to the channel. Get down there, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit that bell for all my reviews that I will be coming out with in the future. All right, also, let me know what you think about The Exorcist, the rip-off Exorcist, the Italian, if you've seen this film, and any other films you think I should cover in this Italian style that is giallo, or just anything else that you would consider obscure or weird that you think other people should know about. All right, let's get into this. This is about a woman and her family. In the very beginning, we get this like group of people and they've like robed this mannequin, and she is basically kind of like a Mary type figure where Christ is, and they're all praying, and this one guy all of a sudden just starts like vomiting, and well, I would say vomiting, you don't really see it, and then this woman collapses, and you later find out that she was in a car accident that was caused by her father and an animal, and so she kind of has repression for all that and trauma from that. Let me put this back here before it falls off in my lap. Anyway, so she has trauma from that and she is paralyzed. She cannot walk due to this accident. And so she kind of goes forward to this. And this is where maybe there's a transfer of something and there's an evil that you kind of get a hint of, but you don't really see too much of it, like I said, until later in the film. So we follow her. This is the part where it's like boring, and it does get interesting, I'd say about like 20 minutes in, because there's not even a lot of dialogue for like the first 15 minutes. It's just people doing shit, and so that's kind of boring. But anyway, once we actually get into the story, so skip all that to the interesting part. So eventually they find a doctor who is willing to kind of do this hypnosis thing where she's going back in time. These are the parts of the movie we got. We got reincarnation, we got God, we got the devil, we got repressed sexuality, we got daddy issues, family issues, blood, gore, throw up, and tits. So if you like any of that, you might like this movie. She starts to see this psychiatrist, and he's basically having her go back into her life before she was who she is now. And you first see her kind of relive the trauma, which was the accident that caused her to be paralyzed from the beginning. And so that's kind of interesting. Just the dad, you know, there was an animal coming out and he swerves to get away from it. The mother ends up dying and this girl ends up getting out, but she is paralyzed. So she's never had any boyfriends. So that's where the repressed sexuality comes in. But she's also maybe in love with her dad and her brother. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff in this because she's very angry that the dad is off with this other woman because the mom died, but she's kind of just like very jealous of him. So it's very awkward, and there's stuff going on with the brother later on. Very weird Italian stuff. You know, this was the 70s anyway, so that tends to happen. We start doing these sessions, and then she kind of goes back to this other girl that was a witch, or considered a witch, you know, back in the days of Christ. And so she was basically going to, before she was going to be staked. So let's go right prior to this. This is a very convoluted movie. So I'm telling you, and you're probably like, wait, what's happening? That's how I was watching the movie. So I'm just, you know, replicating what I saw. It's very strange, you know? So it's like she sees these people and then she starts flashing back to this, and then we get this like B plot line that's going, or C plot line even, because we got the B, which is the drama of the family, which is later just thrown away. It doesn't mean anything. But anyway, we got the C plot line where this woman who is considered to be a witch before this, prior to her like being staked, goes off and basically finds a cult of devil worshippers. Some weird shit happens in this scene. I will be honest, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's real fucked up. But anyway, she basically gets fucked by Satan, and that's not even the worst thing. So if I tell you that's not the worst thing, it gets weird, man. There's a goat involved, some licking, some blood. Very, very weird Italian movie, but anyway, there's a lot of just strange stuff in here that you might be averse to. I mean, you're already watching a movie called The Antichrist, so what can you expect from it? She gives herself over to Satan, and then she is you know, subsequently killed after that. And this girl is basically the reincarnation of that original witch. She is basically tired because she can't get a boyfriend. That's where, again, the sexual... my God, I've said sexual rip. Oh man, oh God. Anyway, that's where basically her sexual frustration comes in, is that nobody wants her because she's paralyzed, and this is what the devil offers her. She's basically can get anything that she wanted and everything that she's been denied. So of course she says yes. And then after this point, which has been like the first hour or so, basically, nothing has really happened other than these sessions, which would have been an interesting kind of thing because there's a lot of like family stuff that we learn. So this woman was killed at the stake, and you learn that it was this particular family that caused this to happen. So there's this cool intrigue with this family drama that's going on, that they have caused this and like repressed it. So there's something going on with all of the men in this family, and that's why they can't get rid of this demon. It's got to be somebody else, and they don't really explore that. But later on, when they do the exorcism, it's like a completely different priest, because the uncle, who is a priest who she went to initially for help, didn't want to help her, and then now can't do anything. So there's something going on that's interesting there, and that's where I say it's like two different films. That stuff never gets its way like to be fully fleshed out. It just kind of stops. And then we get the second half, which is basically a bad rip-off of The Exorcist. You know, we've got the cursing, we've got the sexual stuff with her dad, we've got, you know, floating and flying and objects flying around and vomiting and wide eyes, you know, levitation. There's so much in this movie that is just blatantly copied from The Exorcist, because that film was obviously released the year prior. And I don't know why you would want to fuck with The Exorcist. I don't even know why you would attempt to do that. I don't even know why you would ever attempt to make a sequel to The Exorcist in 2023, David Gordon Green. Anyway, that's neither here or there. If they couldn't do it the year after, what makes you think you could do it now? Nobody does. Nobody does. Nobody thinks that. Oh God, I'm getting on a tangent about the new Exorcist. Anyway, let's not talk about that. That's for a later date in October when we review that movie. This is the Antichrist, and so basically what they're trying to prevent now, she tells him she's pregnant with her, that the devil has basically inseminated her with the Antichrist, and they've got to stop it, which they do end up doing by some nonsense. You know, the other guy, who's this monk, comes in and just holds a cross against her and yells at her. And then she goes up and they just keep slamming her into this cross, and then eventually they prevent the birth of the Antichrist. Wow, that was a lot. I don't know if that made any sense, and that's kind of how it came out in my brain, and I just finished watching it and I was like, this movie makes no sense. It's just kind of all over the place, and so now regurgitating it out to you, I'm so sorry. Don't watch this movie. Like, it's just weird. I mean, if you're really curious about this movie, I think the first half's pretty good, the second half's pretty lame, and just as a rip-off of The Exorcist, and you should just watch The Exorcist. So it kind of sucks, because it's like a what could have been type of movie, where the first half very interesting, very 70s, very giallo, and that could have been an interesting film in and of itself. But we just got a rip-off of The Exorcist at the end of the day. All right, so that's all I've got. Let me know down below, have you seen The Exorcist? What did you think about it? And, God, I don't know. We've got a lot coming this week, so I'm going to link some videos for you at the end as always. If you like what we do here, consider becoming part of the collective. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video if something hasn't happened to me since then. Who knows what this did? I decided to watch this on a Sunday. I don't know what's going to happen.